Now, South Africa has seen a spike in hijacking recently going to the festive season. Motorists are now urged to be vigilant on the roads and of attempted hijackings. For more on this, we are joined via Zoom by Layton Beard, spokesperson at the Automobile Association. A very good afternoon to you, Layton. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Nachi. Good to be with you.
Now, Layton, of course, I want to speak about just some of the recent road accidents that we're already starting to see, happening in the country, even before many South Africans head on to, to their various destinations over this coming festive season. But a worrying trend that we're seeing now is a spike in hijackings in South Africa. Going into the festive season, what can motorists look out for, and particularly as it relates to their children? Now, of course, we know that some adults have also been, found victim to hijacking recently.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the road fatality numbers, I think, unfortunately, at this time of year, we do see a spike in those numbers of crashes on our roads and obviously of road fatalities. And it's something the AA urges motorists and pedestrians and cyclists, in fact, all road users every year, to be alert when they're on the road and to be cautious when they are in a vehicle, obviously. So it's very important that not only is your vehicle in a good condition, but if you're going to be on the road during this period, your mindset, your state of mind also needs to be in the right condition. You need to understand that you'll be sharing the road with very many other road users. And so you must understand that you've got to be courteous, you've got to obey the rules of the road, and you've obviously got to drive properly. In terms of your safety, it's very critical that you understand where you are going to and where you are in terms of a journey, that you monitor media and social media, that you understand where there may be hotspot areas for incidents to occur. You need to have backup. The AA has a Rescue Me app where at the push of a button you can get armed response if you need it. And that's obviously available in all the telephone stores, in all the mobile stores that you can download that. So that's a very good piece of software that you can have to protect yourself and obviously your family. It's very, very key that you are focused on the road and that you are focused on the surroundings, that you understand where you are in terms of other vehicles on the road, and that you at all times remain super vigilant, especially in areas which are known to be hotspot areas.
Now, just going back to road accidents, we know that this is worrying for this country, being one of the highest, the country that has the highest road fatalities, in the world. And that's a concern because this keeps coming up, Layton. I mean, 3 days ago, we had a tally already of about 13 people who were killed on our roads. What can you attribute these accidents to? And I mean, what then needs to be done in terms of interventions?
No, that's a super loaded question because I think the answer could take hours to actually unflesh, Unati. First of all, South Africa doesn't have the highest road fatality statistic in the world. We certainly have amongst the highest, but we're not the highest. But in terms of the reason why we have so many crashes, there are a number of factors that come into play. The road surface, the condition under which people are driving. Is it raining? Is it visible? You talk about issues such as the construction of roads and are they properly maintained? You talk about safer vehicles. Are our cars safe enough? Do they need extra safety equipment on them? Are the safety features on them sufficient? You talk about issues such as driver education. So we have people who have licenses and they are able to drive because they have been licensed. But the question then arises of, are they capable of driving, and do they have enough experience to be driving, and have they experienced enough on the road, especially for long journeys? So the issue of driver education and driver safety comes into the picture. There is no one silver bullet. There is no one solution that is going to deal with this problem. It has to be a combined strategy that deals with safer roads. It deals with safer vehicles. It deals with safer drivers. It deals with safer speeds. It deals with better post-crash intervention. The safe systems approach, as people in the industry would know it. So it's a combination of different factors that lead up to this. It's also a number of different elements, such as people who are distracted when they're driving, people who aren't focused on the road, but are instead looking at electronic devices, or they may be eating, or they may be engaging with passengers in the back. It's people who are not obeying the rules of the road. It's a number of different factors. As I said, we have this habit of unfortunately saying that human error is to blame for all of these accidents, when in fact, there are all of these other factors that come into play. For instance, is the road that people are driving on sufficiently lit? Are all those streetlights working? And is the road surface in a good condition? Or are people having to avoid potholes to get around, which may cause crashes and then cause people to get hurt, or worse, even to get killed? So there are a number of factors that come into play, and it requires a very concerted effort to deal with all of those issues, not just one of them. Otherwise, unfortunately, we will still have one of the highest fatality rates on our roads every year.
No, certainly. I mean, you raise a very important point when you talk about driver education. I mean, recently I read a harrowing story, very tragic indeed, of four teenage boys, if I can call them that, who've just finished matriculating, writing their paper, and headed out to Cape Town, long distance from Limpopo. Now, I mean, they are obviously young, in matric. Three of them were killed in this accident. According to reports, the driver lost control of the vehicle. Now, when we start talking about driver education, I mean, a drive from Limpopo to Cape Town is long enough for even somebody who's very experienced behind the wheel. What are then some of the lessons, we should take from this very incident or accident? In terms of just also taking into consideration the long hours that you will be traveling, how experienced are you as a driver? Just some of those, tips, for motorists who are considering to taking such long stretches of road.
Yeah, that's an absolutely tragic story, and as you were relaying it, it's just an absolutely sad story, and that young lives are lost is very, very sad. As parents and/or guardians, we have to make sure that the people who are going to be behind the wheel are adequately trained. The fact that you have a driving license doesn't mean that you are now experienced enough, as you said, Anati, to go on these long trips. So you need to be very clear that the people who are going to be behind the wheel know what they're doing, that they are going to be focused on the road, that they will obey the rules of the road. We will all put our seatbelts on, even the people in the back seats will wear those safety belts, that we will stop every 2 hours or 200 kilometers to just get a breath of fresh air and stretch our legs, that we will stay over at accommodation if we've been driving for a long period of time, that we won't push through unnecessarily even when we're tired, because these are the types of things that happen, that we won't drink and drive, that we won't pass when it's not safe to do so, especially on a blind drive or on a solid white line. We have to take responsibility for our actions, and if there are minors amongst us or younger people amongst us who are driving, we need to teach them that driving is not a right, it's a privilege, and it comes with a lot of obligation and a lot of responsibility. I want to reiterate this point, Anati. The fact that you've got your license doesn't mean that you are a perfect driver, and it doesn't allow you to believe that you are the only driver on the road. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. And as parents and as guardians and as elders, maybe we need to instill that responsibility in younger drivers. It's a very tragic story, and one I hope doesn't get repeated over the next couple of weeks.
No, absolutely. Layton, thank you so much for your time this afternoon and for your valuable input in as far as this is concerned. Layton Beard, their spokesperson for the Automobile Association.